Hey, fourth grade, I've heard that you guys have been learning a lot about heroes this week, and with today being September 11th, I wanted to take some time to share about my story and just let you know who I am. So my name is Wells Crowther, and there's a book that is written about me, and I'm sure that some of you in your classes will have an opportunity to read that. But I live in New York City. As you can see here in the background, the image that you're looking at no longer exists. 19 years ago today, life drastically changed for thousands upon thousands of New Yorkers due to the terrorist attacks on the beautiful World Trade Center buildings right behind me. But I wanted you to get an image of what we're seeing today. If you look at this skyline behind me, the sky is crystal blue, beautiful. You know, it's actually the term that they use in weather is severe clear, meaning the skyline was just, you could see for miles and miles and miles. But my story doesn't start on September 11th. It starts a little before then. You see, I was like any other kid who loved to play cowboys and Indians, loved to dress up, work hard. I was an athlete in high school. I played lacrosse, and my dad, at a young age, at 7 years old, he gave me a red bandana. And so I would always be known for wearing this red bandana whenever I was working, whenever I was playing hard, and would use it to wipe the sweat off my face or my brow. And that never changed. A volunteer firefighter, loved serving and helping people. So as I got older, one of these towers here was my office. I worked on one of the upper floors, and as I was there, I mean, I could see for miles and miles and miles, incredible view. My father, he was really proud of who I was as a businessman, and so he would call me and we would talk, and I'd be like, Dad, like, do you see the rain? And he was like, it's not raining here. And I'm like, oh, I can tell that it's raining over where you are, miles and miles away, but it's not raining here. I could just see for miles. It was incredible. We had a great relationship, and I loved my job. The World Trade Center was a wonderful place to work. New York, the heart of the city in Manhattan, was just bustling all the time with life and activity, and as a young man, really just thriving in the work that I was doing. So it was a Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, just like any other Tuesday, to be honest with you. And I went to work in that tower, took the elevator ride all the way up to the 104th floor, and working just fine. And it wasn't long after I got to work that I felt this massive shake and rumble and got almost knocked out of my chair. And I looked over at Tower 1 and noticed that it was smoking and fire was billowing out of the tower, and was really nervous about that. And it wasn't too much longer after that, probably just a few minutes later, that I felt this massive second blast and shake. And this was much more intense. And this shake and what I felt in my office knocked me to the ground, and I could feel the heat, and I knew it was a problem. That whatever had happened to the first tower had happened to my second tower, and my instincts came in. I'm a helper, and I wanted to be, had helped as a volunteer firefighter, and so realized that there was a massive attack on the building in some capacity. And so as I ran out to the elevator and stairwell area, saw that tons of people were trying to escape. None of the lights were working. And so I decided to do, I need to help people to safety. I'm gonna do whatever I can. And so I tried to run all the way down to around the 60th floor to help people get to their safety. And when I helped them get there, the lights were on there and told them, go down, go down, go down, exit as quick as you can. And I knew I needed to help more people. And so being committed to doing that, I rushed back up to get more people, and I was able to make the first trip. And I'm carrying grown women on my shoulders, older ladies that were having a hard time seeing and coughing because of all the smoke. And I had taken this bandana and put it down over my nose, a lot like your mask that you're wearing right now, where I covered my mouth and my nose to protect myself from when I was breathing, not having all that come into my system. I made the second trip. I got all the way down to the 60-something floor and started running back up. And people are like, stop going up. It's dangerous. It's not safe. And it was more important for me at that time to care about others. And I wasn't thinking about really my own safety at that point, because I knew that if I didn't get up there to help more people, that they wouldn't make it. And so the second trip was just like the first trip, very tense, very arduous, very difficult to manage, but I made it down. And so I went up for my third trip, and as I'm going on my third trip, I can tell that the building's getting hotter, that more areas are steel is melting, and the fire is so intense. And I get some more people downstairs, and as I make my trip down to the third time, I feel this intense pressure, and then everything turns black. You see myself, along with 2,000 something other people, died that day in New York City. Terrorists had flown planes into the Twin Towers that are behind me, and the immense heat simply collapsed the tops of the building, and the pressure of those buildings then crumbled the buildings to where they completely collapsed to the ground. And every life that was in that building that had not escaped died. And I was one of those. And my dad, who was so proud of me and loved me and cared for me, and my mom, they like thousands of other people in New York and across the world called and tried to get a hold of myself or other loved ones that they knew worked in those buildings, and they couldn't get a hold of us, which was a tragic and scary thought, because they knew if they couldn't get a hold of us, that more than likely we had lost our lives. You know, my parents, they did find some sort of relief. It was weeks later, there were tons of news articles that were being published every single day about eyewitness accounts, stories that were happening. And people kept saying in these newspaper articles, they kept saying, I don't know who or how I escaped, but I remember a man wearing a red bandana coming after me, helping me, carrying me, taking me to safety. I didn't know his name. I never met him before, but he saved me. You see, that's my story. I died on September 11th, 2001. But I died with great purpose. The bravery of myself and thousands of others to love and care for the fellow man and woman in this tragedy saved a lot of lives. I hope that my story that I shared with you is that you don't just take away the tragedy. It was an awful day. Awful. Lots of lives were lost. that there is beauty from the ashes, from the standpoint that people like me risked everything for the common good of others. We sacrificed for others. We loved and paid the ultimate sacrifice of our lives to help other people. And so when you see a red bandana next time, I hope that you remember me. I hope that you remember Wells Crowther, the man in the red bandana, who, like other people, a normal guy, working a normal job, but did extraordinary things for those that he cared about. Fourth grade, this day is important. And I hope that my story gives you a little bit more insight into the reality of those days. May we never forget.